Good evening. I'd like to welcome everyone to this Monday, June 15th, 2020 School Board Education meeting. Mr. Roberts, will you please call roll?
Mr. Butler?
Here.
Mr. Kruger?
Here.
Mr. Metzler?
Here.
Mrs. Talley?
Monica, you're on mute.
I'm here.
There she is. Mr. Unati? Mr. Unati?
You're on mute, Mr. Unati, Mike. Here.
There he is.
There he is.
Thank you. Everybody, please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance.
Can you see the flag?
Yes.
Yes.
Pledge allegiance
To the
to the
flag
flag
of the
of the
United
United States of
of America,
and to the
to the
republic
for which it stands,
One
one
nation,
nation,
under God, indivisible,
with
with
liberty
and justice for all. I don't know.
We need to pep that up a little bit. That was a little lackluster.
And you know that flag only had 48 stars on it.
I didn't. Where are you going, Mike?
Never had to happen.
It's not 50 stars.
Interesting. I'll have to see.
We'll have to fix that, Mike. Thank you.
Yeah.
Okay. Mr. Sotler, any additions or deletions to the agenda that we need to be aware of?
Not tonight, no.
Okay, I need a motion to approve the agenda as we see it online.
So moved.
Second,
Got Mr. Butler as a first and Mrs. Talley as a second. Ms. Roberts, please call roll.
Mr. Butler?
Yes.
Mrs. Unati? Or Mr. Unati?
Yes.
Mr. Kruger?
Yes.
Mr. Metzler?
yes,
Mrs. Talley?
yes.
All right, motion passes 5-0. We on the presentations. We have a middle school presentation. Kelly Zimchek, the principal, is going to be presenting. So, Kelly, you are on.
Trying to get it to. There we go. Can everyone see that?
Yes.
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 All right, good evening, everyone. Kelly Zimchek, middle school principal. I just wanted to give everyone a quick update on our STEM designation that the middle school received a few years ago, just to let you know where we currently are, so our strengths and where we need to go, just some areas of growth. At the middle school, we worked on our STEM designation as a team, and as a team, when we went through this process, I think it was very great to help us figure out our identity as a middle school and what did we want the middle school to look like as a STEM designated school. And so I think a lot of times when you go through the process, we look at what other schools are doing. So it was a great reflection process for us as a building to figure out who we wanted to be. And so as a staff, we went through a process to determine our core values and our mission and vision. So our mission that we came up with was Canal Winchester Middle School will nurture and develop adolescents to become independent, self-directed, empathetic change makers in their community. We also came up with a vision to provide learning environments that foster community, wellness, innovation, persistence, and growth that our students will develop as change makers. And those are our core values as well. And to make sure that we keep moving forward with our STEM designation and our mission and vision, we review our mission and vision at every staff meeting, every grade level meeting, BAT meetings, to make sure we keep moving forward in our beliefs and make the best decisions for our students and our staff and have that shared leadership as well. So this year, just to give you a little information about the quality model for STEM and STEAM schools, this year we utilized the summary tool for self-evaluation from Odie's quality model for STEM and STEAM schools. And this document is, it's a lot of information, but I think it's great to help us reflect on where we are and where we need to go. And the document helps assist schools in visualizing what high quality STEM or STEAM implementation can look like. And during our self-evaluation process, through our STEM designation team, we discussed all three domains: culture of learning, learning and teaching, and pathways to success. And then we looked at the essential criteria in each domain to determine our strengths and areas for growth. And so as a team, we went through this in a smaller group setting, and then at our professional development day, and when I have my time allotted for me in the middle, we had each team and grade level take it back to their team and grade level and really go through the tool with the grade level and team to continue the discussion and get their feedback as well. So here's a few of our strengths that we came up with: cultural strategies that reflect innovation and an entrepreneurial spirit, inquiry and in collaboration with individual accountability, integrated innovative curriculum, flexible and autonomous leadership that communicates a shared vision and that supports innovative instruction, a well-prepared teaching staff with ongoing personalized professional learning, and STEM-rich formal and informal experiences with the community that are personally relevant to the student. Let's see. And some areas for growth. We are going into the year 4 next year for a STEM designation, so we definitely have some room to grow. And these things, going through these, we are meeting parts of them, but we just need to improve on aspects of them as well. So opportunities for personalized learning, we really want to improve on that. An inclusive mission that supports all students. When we reflected on this, it's more of the intervention piece that we were missing at the middle school that we need to work on. Learning that prepares all students for college and careers in STEM and preserves disciplinary integrity, authentic problem-based learning and design thinking. So that's just really improving on our PBLs to make them more authentic, inquiry-based, and more student-directed. Dynamic assessment systems, curricular connections with business and industry. And then the last one is collaborative partnerships with business, industry, arts, and higher education that provide and enhance opportunities for practical real-world experience. And a lot of these, as we were going through them, they just have one quality model. So a lot of these, I think, are more suited for the high school too, but we can definitely, prepare our students before they head to high school as well. Let's see. All right. And the next 2 slides I'm going to go over contain a few examples of PBLs at Canal Winchester Middle School. And we've had a lot of continuous discussions as a building and have reflected on our PBLs to make them better each year and make sure they're more open-ended, inquiry-based, like I said, more of a culminating project and student-directed as well. So here's a few examples of PBLs for related arts. One that I was very impressed with this year was Can Our Voice Make a Difference? And our choir teacher, Mr. Brennan, this was his PBL, and the students did a fantastic job, and they actually read some of their reflections and how their voice can make a difference at our choir concert this year. So very impressive. One of my favorite ones, because I get invited every year to this one, and Heather Eastup continually reflects and makes this better each year as well, is the food truck business. How can you design a successful food truck business? And yes, I do go ahead and sample some of my 8th grade students' food as well. So they're very creative in that as well. And automation robotics, that is a project Lead the Way. And then same as medical detectives and health science and technology as well. Here's a few 6th grade PBLs. One, how do you use your knowledge of human body systems to help reverse the declining life expectancy in our community? How do I successfully make it through my first year of middle school? So definitely relevant to our 6th graders. How can we design a logo for the football field or basketball court that best represents our district and community values? And the last one deals with Egyptians and mummified people. 7th grade, we have a math PBL. How can you distinguish between relationships that are proportional from relationships that are not proportional? And how can you use proportional relationships to create a skill drawing? And this one was very impressive this year. The kids had great responses. How do life events mold and develop our character? And last, for eighth grade portfolios and exit interviews. This would have been our third year, and we've been really reflected and improved on it every year, but I love this experience for our eighth graders. And the question we asked them is, how has your time at Canal Winchester Middle School influenced who you are and your future plans for success? So basically the students, they create an electronic portfolio that they keep artifacts from 6th and 7th grade, as well as 8th grade. And they put together electronic portfolio based on our core values that we came up with. And then they have an exit interview where they practice professional interview skills while they discuss their portfolio and reflect on their middle school experience with an adult. And I did want to show you a quick example of an 8th grade portfolio. And I asked Marissa Komorick if I could show hers, and we use Google Sites. And so students start off just about them. So they do a little section, pictures, a little bit about who they are as a person, as an individual. And then it's organized by each of our core values. So obviously we know Marissa is very active, so plays sports. So wellness, she describes how her activities, how her athletics relates to wellness, and then it's organized by innovation. Maybe. Just little examples there. She's involved in OMUN growth, her awards from that year, and community. And then we have a section, academic flex artifact, and that is from related arts. Okay, I was trying to go back to my Google Slides. Hold on one second. And the last thing I wanted to share with you, as you know, I love the middle school. I love to show it off and all the amazing learning that goes on at the middle school. The students, the staff, they're phenomenal. So since I can't give you a tour, I wanted to give you a quick glimpse of our middle school and how our core values of community, wellness, innovation, persistence, and growth support everyday learning and strategies that engage minds. So in the video, and I've tried it a couple of times, so fingers crossed it works, you'll see us welcoming students back on the first day of school of this school year as a DJ plays music. You'll see Youth Leading Change, our after school program, our food truck PBL, new basketball hoops that I had installed to support our core value of wellness and just to get the students outside to get some fresh air, our color run, our Black History Month door projects, library learning commons, our new improved courtyard that Mr. Bocock and students worked on last year, other projects that support and improve our community, the OSLN statewide design challenge and the garden students built at Human Services, students practicing mindfulness, Ms. Komorick teaching teachers about mindfulness and how to implement it in their classroom, students sharing their My Voice PBL at the choir concert, student leadership groups such as FCCLA, Project Lead the Way classes, Socratic seminars, and design challenges. Thank you. It makes me smile to see all of them.
Thank you, Kelly. I appreciate
you.
that.
Very nice.
Board, do you guys have any questions or follow-up for Kelly? Nope. All righty. Thank you, Kelly. Appreciate that.
Thank you.
Kaya, do we, moving on to public voice. Anyone with public voice out there?
No, there is no public voice this evening.
Okay, thank you. We will move into the executive reports. And first up is Mr. Roberts with the treasurer's report.
Good evening. Let me, trying to find the right screen here. Where'd she go? We go. You see the financial report? Perfect. All right, so we've got 1 month to go after May. So far, this was the first month we lost half of our state funding as far as they took 1 month of the reduction.
Nick, excuse me. Can you increase the magnification on that again a little bit more?
Yes.
There you go. That helps. Thank you.
Sure. So the state revenues was the first month. They cut one of the 2 foundation payments. Typically, we are about 1.8 million here, so we lost a couple $100,000. This forecast column is updated, so we're trending to 93.7. We've received most of our revenue just through the timing and that type of thing. Restricted. Really, the only 2 line items we have left to pick up are the 2 state foundation payments here, 1.04 and 1.05, or 135 and 04, sorry. And then other revenue. That's the only revenue left. So we're trending right at 97% on revenue. Expenditures trending 92.1% to forecast. We're forecasting a 33.1 million. We're sitting at 35.1 million. So we would need to lose $2 million in the last month, which will probably come close to be right at the forecast number. Everything's trending to the forecast, obviously, since we just updated it last month. Just to kind of give you a more year over year. You can see the big hit we took just from losing 1 foundation payment. We're back to break even. That will be down about 5% after next month. We were up income tax, up on tangible personal. Restricted is up slightly, and property taxes are up slightly. So overall, revenue's up just about 1.2%. That's probably going to be right around 1% with the loss of the additional state funding in the last month. Salaries only up 1.2%. We've talked about where we've moved some of the salaries over the federal grants. Benefits trending at 6.1% year over year. Purchase services 12.6. However, as we've discussed all year, 625 of that is in the lease purchase that we paid off for the operations center. As expected, supplies are down year over year with the COVID-19 stipulations that come into effect. Much of that really came down to bus fuel. We've saved a lot on bus fuel and not purchasing other supplies. You have to think all the athletic trips were canceled, any activities were canceled, no regular routes. So we spend about $35,000 a month on bus fuel. So we basically have saved most of that over the last 2 months. So I guess out of all the bad things, I guess that was the one glaring thing that we did save on was fuel. Year over year, though, we're just up about 3.3%. So you can see expenditures are going to be up over our revenue increase. However, we're still sitting with a strong cash balance, 35.1 million, and we're trending to be 3.5 million revenue over expenditures. So even with the trend of expenditures being over revenues, we're still in good shape for this month. Not a lot of activity happening in the permanent improvement. We're pretty much done, other than a couple small projects that we have. So we have a strong cash balance for capital projects moving forward, $3.9 million sitting in the permanent improvement fund. I know Mike Britch and Roger are working on a roofing schedule. I've seen kind of a draft of it. It's kind of glaring, but I think it's going to be something that we really need to look at over the next 5 to 10 years to make sure our roofs on our buildings are good. As many of you know, if our roofs are bad, then it really creates problems elsewhere. So I think in the next couple of years, we're going to be sinking some capital dollars into some of the roofs that have gone bad. They're putting together a really nice detailed report for that, and we'll share that with the Finance Committee once that's available. Overall, sitting with a strong cash balance. This is all funds. We have $52.189 million. That includes the construction accounts. As you can see, we still have almost $1.8 million, $550,000, $1.5 million. That project is really coming to an end over the next couple months. We'll probably have a little bit of money, probably up until November, once they get the applications and things processed. But the project's wrapping up quick. So seems like it's flown by. Maybe not for Mr. Sattler, but I know it's going by quick. And that was another positive. COVID-19 has really helped the progress for that. I think we're way ahead of schedule. They were able to get into the building a lot sooner and do some of the renovations, which was nice. So hopefully we won't have people in our way when we do return to school, hopefully at the 1st of September. Investments continue to be strong. We're up to $897,000 for the year. I think we're going to surpass what we did last year, given the final month is up over 14,000. We've been averaging about 60,000, so I think we're going to surpass next year or last year's interest earnings. It's been a nice revenue stream for us. Goes right into other revenue line item. I do expect that to come down over the next couple of years. Next year, it's probably will drop in somewhere in the 750,000 range, and then after that, it's probably going to drop even more. But we do have long-term investments. The rates have taken a hit due to COVID-19. So, but we are long-term invested, so we are protected to a certain extent. Get into the insurance. That's the other, the very positive that we had. 3 months ago, we were looking at a negative cash balance. As of today, we're $265,000 to the good, which is amazing. But when you shut down everything other than COVID-19 cases, your health and dental claims are going to be really low. So we came into the year with $2.1 million, and we're sitting with $2.4 million right now. Really don't expect too much out of May and June claims. They're slowly picking back up, but I think we're still going to maintain lower claims than what we had prior to COVID-19. Claims were averaging about 375 to 400,000 pre-COVID-19. The last couple of months, they've been 225, 228. So you can see it's been a drastic decline. Even with that, claims are up 405,000 year over year. So it just tells you how poorly we were trending prior to March and prior to everything that's happened. So claims are still up year over year. We're controlling fixed costs very well. We're only up near 2%, 10,000 year over year. So revenues with premium increases are up 13.5, and total costs are up 8.5. So that's how we get to the 244,000 positive balance. Dental, much the same. We're up 34,000 on the year, 20,000 alone in this month. Just in the last 2 months, we've picked up pretty much 34,000. Cash balance came in at 204, sitting at 238. Claims have pretty much declined year over year. We're down 35,000 year over year due to COVID, when they pretty much shut down dental offices for better part of a month and a half. But overall, insurance is COVID-19 kind of saved us to where we are going to be strong sitting cash balances, and we'll be sitting in the driver's seat when it comes to what we do moving forward. Any questions on the insurance or the general fund financials?
I don't have any board. Any questions?
No.
Kevin?
Oh, I just was asking, Nick, I was looking at the revenue. I did see the drop off in the state funding. And I was just curious, will we find out probably July or October, like when we're going to see, are we going to see a hit in the income tax and the property tax, or are we just kind of hoping, is that going to hold steady, or is that something we're going to find out later on in the year?
We're going to find out on the first settlement as far as income tax. We'll know pretty much where we stand. I know the state's revenue is not as bad as they anticipated. I think it's down 10%, which I think they were estimating it to be down much greater than that. In my inner circle of Treasurer Network, we don't expect to be cut from the state any more than we were this year. Maybe that's hopeful thinking, but that seems to be what a majority of people are thinking. So could be in the $500,000 to $700,000 range, which is about 3% for us. Which, if that happens, that do cartwheels down the hallway compared to what they were telling us in the initial stages of this. So that's looking more positive. Unemployment claims have declined each of the last 6 or 7 weeks. So we hit our peak probably a month and a half ago, which is a good sign for the economy coming back. I think they're in debate over whether they're going to extend unemployment or not. I think it's bad for the economy, I think, if they extend it, but I'm not in the people where they're unemployed. So I'll let them fight that out. Property tax, the Franklin County's request to pretty much do away with the appraisal update this year was denied, which was good news for all the Franklin County schools to go ahead and update the properties to what the values should be. So a lot more good news coming out than it was 2 months ago. As information comes back, the economy ticks back up. So I always look at it glass half full anyway. So I just don't think it's going to be as bad as what everybody was anticipating. Are we going to see a loss in revenue? Absolutely. But is it going to be 10 to 15%? I'm not anticipating that.
Nick, do we have any idea about the property tax reappraisal, if that'll increase and how much?
Yeah, we've got estimates based on history and what we think it's going to do from last time. That's definitely going to be a significant increase for a lot of Franklin County homeowners. Just probably anywhere from 25 to 30 million just for our district alone on increases. Now we're not at the 20 mil floor, so reduction factors do kick in. So the increase in revenue from that will be very minimal. So it'll just reduce back our millage. Obviously, we have the huge emergency levy. That will continue to be rolled back. We'll pick up new construction value. But as the value increases, the amount collected goes down. So the burden on the taxpayer won't be much more, even with the huge increases.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Any other questions?
Doesn't sound like
Nope.
it. Thank you, Nick. Oh, John, what do you have?
No, I don't have any questions. I was just making sure I was unmuted there. Now I'll mute.
No, I don't have any questions either.
All right, thank you.
Thank you. Okay, we're going to move on to Superintendent's Report. Jim?
Well, thank you, Mr. Kruger. Good evening, everyone, and welcome to all our viewers. Well, May 30th, we had our virtual graduation ceremony, and I just want to say congratulations to the class of 2020. I know it's not the way they wanted to end their senior year. None of us wanted that, but I think with everything that was done, I think it turned out pretty good. I think Mr. Henderson, high school staff, and Mr. Weiner did a great job trying to make it the best graduation ceremony we possibly could with the parameters that we are working with. So congratulations to the class of 2020. You know, we understand they missed out on a lot of senior end activities, but hopefully all of us focus on the most important fact is that, well, you know, they started 13 years ago when they entered kindergarten with one goal in mind, and that was to graduate high school. And that's what happened. Even though it was interrupted for a few months out of the year, the end of the year, they still were able to graduate 97% of our class. And they're moving on to start their next chapter in their book of life. And I just want to wish them the best of luck. The best is yet to come to all our seniors out there. Enjoy the next few weeks that you have and get ready for your next chapter in your book of life. So congratulations to the class of 2020. Just want to give you some updates on numbers. In regards to the class of 2020, we graduated 293 graduates. The valedictorian was Aaron Boer. The salutatorian was Bailey Rodeski. And congratulations to both of them on their outstanding achievement. I do have some other numbers to give you, but however, when we did a senior survey, 93 seniors did not respond to the questionnaire. So we're just going off the fact of the information that we had. So I'm not sure why they didn't respond to it, but we had 113 students graduate with honors and 68 students earned the State of Ohio Honors Diploma. 160 students plan to attend either a 4-year university, a 2-year community school, or a technical school. We had 16 students who have enlisted in the armed forces and 17 students right now that just plan to work full-time after graduation. And we had 27 seniors who graduated from the Eastland Ware Fairfield Career Center. So once again, we had 97% of our graduates, 293 meet the graduation requirement and graduated on May 30. And hopefully they're all ready to meet one of the 3 E's: enrollment, enlistment, or employment. So again, I wish the class of 2020 graduates the best of luck. Any questions or comments from the board on the graduation?
Actually, my mom and dad had watched the video and they were highly impressed with the quality of the video and the number of hours it took to put all that together. So I did hear positive things from the public who were watching those videos. So
well, good. That's Mr. Weiner did an outstanding job putting that all together for us. So that was fantastic, and it's out there on YouTube. So people could watch it at any time and share it with anyone else out there. So it will be out there permanently. But I agree with you. It was well done under the circumstances. So any other questions, comments?
I just would like to wish all of our graduates a job well done, and your hard work did not go unnoticed. And I just wanted to appreciate all of the staff, and just wanted to say congrats to all the graduates. Thank you.
Agreed.
Yep. Good. Okay, so we're wrapping up this year, and I know there are a lot of questions about what's going to happen next school year. And like many other districts, we're exploring all kind of options. But really, truly, we're waiting on further guidance from the governor on what we plan on doing next year. Hopefully my goal would be that we're going to come back in a very traditional type setting. I can't tell you more than that right now because we're still waiting on guidance. However, we're working on alternative plans of all online, possibly a hybrid system. So we got 3 or 4 different things that we're working on. We're just waiting to hear from the governor and the state about some of the guidelines. Whether they're recommendations or requirements, we don't know. Then, of course, throw busing in there, which adds a whole nother aspect to it of, whether we could put 1 kid per seat or if it's going to go back to the normal type busing. So still a lot of unknowns out there. So to our families and our community, family members and students, just be patient. And as soon as we have further guidance from the state, we'll get something out to everyone within a short period of time. One thing I do know that I do not plan on starting school on a different date. August 31st will be our start of school for kids. Unless something comes out and we're told otherwise, or required to do something different. Right now, we're still going to start on August 31st. So, and part of that, if everyone remembers, is because of the construction. So project that's going on. And speaking of the construction project, we just heard today that hopefully the turnover date for the high school will be August 14th. So hopefully by then, everything will be completed and will be turned over for us. Now, that doesn't mean that there's still punch list stuff that we're probably going to have to do, but for the most part, everything will be turned over for us on August 14th. So keep your fingers crossed on that. Now, like Nick said, we'll still be going through payments and all this stuff for what, 4 or 5 months afterwards, maybe, Nick? A while. So we won't be closed out of the books just then, but the construction itself. I said I was gonna have a video for you for this board meeting. There really wasn't a whole lot of work done from last week to this week. That is noticeable. There's a ton of work done, but not noticeable. So hopefully at the July meeting, I'll have a nice video to show you all the stuff that's happening. So it looks good over there right now. Questions, comments about the start of school starting back up? Not a whole lot else to say, folks. I don't want to put anything out there or say something right now because there's still too many unknowns. So just bear with us.
Thank you, Mr. Sotler. I do have a quick question. I understand that the district sent a survey out to the parents of the Canal Winchester community, and I didn't know if the survey results are available at this point. Perhaps, can you speak upon that?
Yeah, we have the results. I don't have them in front of me at this time, but I could send them to the board. Kaya, do you have some of those numbers, or do you want to work on it while I go on?
Well, the major thing to remember is when we sent those out, we were asking for feedback on whether if we came back in a hybrid model or if we were 100% online. So when we sent the survey results out with those two options, we did not give the traditional option. It was right around 20% said they wanted to remain online versus coming back to a hybrid schedule. So if we get to a point where we are able to do some things with a more, I don't know if we want to say traditional, because I'm not sure it will ever look the same, but maybe a Monday through Friday where you come to school every day, we are wanting to send out another survey with more clear questions and answers once we get the information back from, or once we get information not back, but from the state on what our, regulations are going to be, what are going to be recommendations, and then work with the numbers then. But we can definitely send those out to you. But the information was great. But now that we're talking between a hybrid and an online is much different than between online and coming back to school on a 5-day a week.
Certainly. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Did we have any comments in regards to either of those? Other than just the numbers?
Oh yeah, we had a lot of comments. It was all over the board. I mean, and plus it was at the height of the COVID. Not that COVID's still not bad right there, but and so who knows what's going to happen, later in the summertime in regards to that. But there was comments of, I'm not sending my kid to school at all. No matter what. We better be sending our kids to school. So, and everything else in between. So we heard a lot of comments, and I still get emails and letters, about the situation. So there's a lot to discuss. There is a lot to think about. This is just my personal opinion, doesn't speak for the board. Our kids need to be in school. That's the best way for them to learn. And that's the most effective way to be in, face to face with our teachers and have that socialization with our kids. I think most people would agree to that. However, we have to deal with the COVID. It's out there, it's real, and it's not going away. And that's what we have to understand. So we got to find a way of putting the two together so we can deliver a quality education to our kids, but at the same time, keep them safe and our staff. So not sure what that's going to look like. And, I think that's a tough question right now for everyone. Any other
Yeah.
comment? Nope, sorry.
I just wanted to say, the more options, it seems like the better, because this seems like it's not going to be a one type fit all deal. And I think the best that we can accommodate families, the better.
Yeah, we got to think of that. Plus, there's also a financial aspect to everything that we do. So we also have to look at that in regards to what we're going to do. So just not the educational side, there's a whole financial side that could possibly go that. If you do a hybrid system, you got different bus routes, you're bringing kids in at different times. So there's a lot of factors that are going to go into the decision. So fortunately for us, we don't start till August 31st. So we have a little bit more time to work on a plan, but we just need to wait to hear from the state. And it's hard to really come out and say anything until we have further guidance.
Certainly, understood.
Thank you. Any other comments? Questions? Okay. The last thing I would like to talk about today is the letter that I sent out to our community last week addressing the issue of racism. And I think it's a good idea for us to start discussing and talking about a plan of action for the school. I've received a lot of feedback from our community, and I want to thank everyone who reached out to me, either personally or through email. As I said in my letter, we have to do a better job of listening, educating, and becoming more aware of issues of racism and acting out against racism. There is no simple answer. We know this is going to take time. It's a marathon. It's not a sprint. But however, we have to start the conversations. And the sooner we start it, the quicker that we will start to make change. And even right now, having these conversations that I've had the last week and a half or week and a half with people have really been eye-opening for me in all aspects, listening to everyone. And so I don't have an answer to how we're going to do this, but I have reached out to several different people. And I'm talking right now to Amanda Connelly. I met with her yesterday for about 2 hours, 2.5 hours, just talking about what we could do from the educational point of view. Unfortunately, Amanda's not able to join us tonight. She had a prior commitment, but we have some good ideas. However, before we go talk about Amanda, let me give you a brief background on who is Amanda Connelly, because you're probably asking, who is she? So Amanda is an ordained minister, educator, and staff chaplain at Grant Medical Center in Columbus, Ohio. She is passionate about providing spiritual and emotional support to the Columbus community, and she seeks to bridge gaps, bring people together, and support diverse groups effectively and respectfully. In 2009, she received her Bachelor of Arts of Religion and Economics from Denison, and in 2012, she earned her Master's of Divinity from Union Theological Seminary in New York City. So she has a very diverse background from religion to economics. In the fall of 2012, Amanda was hired as a professional chaplain in the Ohio State University Wexner Medical Center. And it was there where she really started to find her passion of educating and learning about race and health in the Columbus area. Since then, she has grown in her passion about education and has been involved in a variety of initiatives, including collaboration with the Ohio Department of Health and the Columbus Police Department to reduce recidivism and violence in the Columbus area. So I believe Amanda's experiences, knowledge, contacts, and passion for helping people is a great asset for the district. I'm very excited to work with her. She has some great ideas. She's very personable, very friendly, and she really wants to make a difference in not just Canal Winchester, but in our society together. So I think she brings a strong background to help us work through this. So we talked about many different things. And once again, let me stress, this is brainstorming. No decisions have been made. We're just trying to start the conversation of where we need to go. And we talked about, well, what is our plan? And really, we have two parts to this. One is my goal is to focus on the educational side from the school point of view. That's the most important thing that I have to do, that we have to do as a group, is focus on what can we do for our school system. Okay, and then you also have the other side of that community aspect, and we're one part of the community. So let's talk about the school side first, just real quick. And these are just thoughts and ideas again. We kind of felt, what really do we want to do? And what we came up with was something to the point of develop intentional and sustainable racial diversity and inclusion missions that unites and propels all racial equity work happening in the K-12 schools in our district. That's kind of what we want to do. This has to be very strategic, meaningful, purposeful. It has to be sustainable over a period of time. This can't be one and done. But we're trying to unite and propel racial equity within our K-12 schools in Canal, Winchester. And kind of the places where we want to go is to find a unified mission of racial equity to all teachers, students, and staff. We want to provide professional development for our staff. We want to have programs, educational resources for our kids in the building. And trust me, I've got a lot of emails about many different programs out there. There are a lot of them that hit on the subject of race and how do we educate and teach in our schools. And that's our job to try to figure out where do we need to go from here. And then we want to implement some type of plan. And then we have to, most importantly, include our teachers and how can we build upon this in the coming years with professional development for all. It's not going to happen overnight. We know that, but we have to have a starting point. And these are some of the things that we're going to start working with my leaders. We have a meeting tomorrow at 1:00, and we're going to talk about some of these things that, what are we going to do as a building? What resources are out there? What are we already using? I know we have Nationwide Children's Hospital. Our portrait of a graduate with respectful citizen is a great tie-in avenue to tie this all together. So we have some things in place moving forward. We just need a unified program and something that's going to be meaningful, impactful, purposeful, and sustainable over a period of time. And so I said a lot there before I get into the community side. Any comments, questions?
Well,
before
I don't want to speak for the board, but as we have discussed via emails, I think all of us find it very important. And also, I'm very pleased that you're looking into all the avenues. I think that this is a broad-based question, and there's no simple answer. And I'm sure the board, at least for me, from my perspective, would like to be involved in some way or another.
Yeah, I agree. And I think finding something that's sustainable, that's going to be impactful is important, because what happens a lot of times, from my own personal experience, we kind of talk about these issues and then, obviously something else comes along and we may have a couple conversations and then there isn't, not to say there isn't much action, but I want to make sure that whatever comes from this, that it's something that's productive, that can be sustainable. So that way, years from now, our students are benefiting from this and benefiting from whatever we decide to put in place. So if there was an easy answer, we could wave a magic wand. I know we would have already done it. And I will say it's been refreshing having conversations with different people on the board, other members of the community. That I think that this is an issue that people are taking more seriously this time. I just would like to see us sustain kind of the momentum that's been built up and make sure that coming for this next school year and the years to come, that we do something that really helps our students and our community as a whole. So that's my hope and my goal through this process. And, like I said, I can give a bunch of people shout outs, but Jim, I feel like we're taking it a little bit more seriously this time. And I just hope that continues. Obviously, it's important to me.
Absolutely. That is going to be
that's my 2 cents on that.
That's going to be one of my top priorities from now till the time I leave here. And so working on this and what can we do to better our school system, to better our staff, better ourselves as people, and understanding the racial inequalities that are out there, and hitting on empathy and respect and kindness. And so that's important to me. So this work will continue and it will be sustainable. We just got to find the right avenue, the right way of doing it. So, and then I'm sorry.
Go ahead.
No, go ahead, Monica.
I was just going to add, I echo the sentiments of my colleagues, and I thank you for your leadership on this. But I wanted to just reiterate that I think that the district has a great solid foundation to build upon with the portrait of a graduate. Like you said earlier about the respectful citizens, within that, I think it would be great to include some kind of multicultural awareness activities in that. Problem solvers fit right into this. And then particularly in the self-aware individuals, I'd like to see some programming or educational tools regarding implicit bias. I think that that would go a long way. But I think that we have a great foundation to start with.
Absolutely. And those are great comments. Thank you very much for sharing that, and stuff that we will continue to talk about as we build our portrait of the graduate. We have a good solid foundation with that, and these are things that we can add. So thank you very much for sharing. In my letter, I used the word cultural proficiency, the term cultural proficiency. And, I was asked, why'd you use that term? And really, cultural proficiency is all about behaviors that acknowledge and value the culture of those different from oneself. And truly, that's what we're truly trying to figure out here, is valuing everyone different from yourself. And it goes in to say, when a teacher is culturally proficient, all students feel they have a place in the classroom because cultural differences are acknowledged and recognized as having value. And I think that's the most important part about that. Not that our teachers don't already do this or have this, but it has to be more intentional and more upfront to realize, it's just not hit and miss. We're doing this for a reason. There's a purpose behind it. And so that's why I chose that term, cultural proficiency, because really that's what we're trying to do, is change behaviors, change thought, change ideas for all people. So just a quick note on that one. The second part of what Amanda and I talked about was the community. And, regards to what do we do from the community? As I said, my focus is on the school, but we also understand and are aware that our community needs to be heard. And, we want to hear from them. So we're trying to figure out how do we have a meeting to address those needs, and what's it going to be? And, we're just one part of this, and hopefully talking to other city leaders, we can come up with the plan of how we can work together in the community, plan to collaborate with other leaders, and probably have a facilitator present at these gatherings to help us work through these issues as a community. So we have the school side, and then you have the community side. And working together, I can take care of the school side, but the community side is something that we all need to work on. And so hopefully we can find the right avenue, the right form that we can get this done. Of course, now we also have COVID-19, so having large groups, is that something we can do also? So trying to work through that right now. So we have the school side and the community side, but I want everyone to know that, when I sent the letter out, that wasn't a one and done. We are truly starting to have these conversations, and we're going to put a plan together. It's going to take time. It's not going to happen overnight. It's a marathon, not a sprint, but just starting these conversations is truly going to make a difference when we start school. Hopefully. Any questions for me? Comments? Any other comments?
Well, Jim, I'd reach out to you about your goals for this year and upcoming next year. And obviously this is going to be number one on your list. So I look forward to seeing the progress and the board involvement, the administration involvement, the school, and to embrace the community and see what can be done with this. So
yeah, this is definitely going to take all of us. Absolutely. This is going to take all of us. So thank you very much. That's all I have right now. Thank you very much. And remember, make it a great day or not. Choice is yours.
Okay, thank you, Jim. Board, do you have any follow-up on that before we get into district reports? Anybody?
I think we all realize the importance, and it's just now getting the plan together and making a positive action plan. This always needs to be something that continues to be a positive factor. I'm very proud of Canal Winchester and have been since forever, but I want to be even more proud before I leave.
Very good. Very good. Okay. With that, I appreciate everybody's conversation around that. We're going to move into district reports. I have a couple, but does anybody else have anything they want to be brought up in the district reports? Concerning the middle school report, I opened that up and saw a bunch of pictures of the teachers, Kelly, with the students giving the awards out. I thought that was great. If you wanted to speak to that real quick, about what your teachers were doing with the kids, with the awards that they were giving out.
Absolutely. We were not able to have our academic awards night this year, so we still wanted to make sure that we kept that momentum up. We kept that recognition up for all of our students who worked hard. So we did deliver our academic awards as well as our Citizen of the Year awards. And I still have a few, I think about 15 presidents awards of excellence to deliver to my 8th graders. And then we have our Brock Resilience Award to deliver this Thursday too. But that's a surprise to that student, so I can't tell him yet, or her. So no, it was great. We had we delivered, each team had about 10 to 18 awards. Teachers joined Mr. Senyoki and I, and we drove around. And I think it was real eye-opening for me too. I mean, I don't live in Canal Winchester, but I just, I've been to like Westchester and those areas, but just how spread apart our community is. So, I mean, we drove all the way past Slate Ridge to Marcy Road to, different developments throughout Canal Winchester. So it was very, gives you a different perspective as well too. Lots of driving, but I got a great tour of Canal Winchester, a lot of surprised families and smiles from our students. And it was a great closure for us as well.
Yeah, I saw that. I heard positive things from folks I know and Facebook postings and such. So yeah, the surprise value was definitely there. So I appreciate those efforts. And I know, Kirk, the high school did the same thing. I believe a lot of the teachers had 5 or 6 different seniors that they actually dropped off personally to the seniors, wanted to obviously make the seniors feel special. I know Mr. King showed up at our house. Unfortunately, Riley was not here to receive the gift, but I thought it was real special to have those teachers showing up at houses. So I do appreciate the efforts that went into that as well.
Yeah, thanks. I mean, yeah, a lot of teachers took 5 or so, some took more, but I think all but I think it was, I don't know, 50 or 60 that were taken by staff, and then those 60 were delivered by myself, Miss Bucari and Mr. Lahr. So we went around on Saturday and did that as well. So every senior received something. So it was good, and I think parents and students were pleasantly surprised. Everybody a lot of kids, honestly, I think we started at 9. We're just getting out of bed. So but it was still good. I mean, the kids were happy, parents were happy that we stopped by. So yeah, everybody was pleasantly surprised. So it was very, very exciting for us as well.
Yeah, Mr. Henderson, we started at 10 and some of our kids were still in bed too. So
I believe it.
Yeah, I wanted to say, I saw that for my 5th grader. His teacher showed up and surprised him. So it was kind of nice, even though the Winchester children, I know they're moving on to the middle school. He's going to be a junior high schooler. So it was kind of cool that his teachers took the time to come around, and it really did. It was really refreshing. It was a nice way to end the year off. So, I give a shout out to the Winchester Trails, because I thought those teachers really stepped up and did a really good job too. So that was my experience. So it was a positive one.
Yeah, I think it's important for the students, but I think the teachers got just as much reward from that than the kids did. Seeing, the kind of closure with a lot of those kids as they move on. So I'm continually reminded through this whole pandemic and everything going on, just the special things that the teachers and the administration that you guys are doing for the students that is going, it's not going unrecognized. I know not the best feedback some days, but I'm kind of viewing that Canal as this little bubble now. It's a special little place that kids are cared for and are important to the adults that they work with. So more and more, I see more and more of that through these tough times, which is wonderful to see. So
I concur, Mr. Kruger, absolutely. I think we do have a dedicated staff who truly care about our kids and our administrators. Matter of fact, so much, Mr. Senyoki has a picture of him holding a baby rabbit. So I didn't think Mr. Senyoki was an animal, but when he went out to one of the girls, she raises rabbits, and he was holding a little baby rabbit. So, I mean, our teachers, our administrators truly care for our kids. So that was very good to see.
I was just emailing back and forth with Mrs. Toledo this afternoon, and I was happy to know that we've at summer school that's going to be in person. So I think that's kind of the first step to trying to get back to normal, getting kids back into a classroom or a type of setting. So I was happy to see that, Mrs. Toledo, that obviously that's going forward, and try to bring some school life back to the kids. So important to see. Thank you. My last item I wanted to bring up was about Chartwells, and I wanted to bring Nick in on the conversation. He and I we're talking a little bit, and he's going to do a lot more justice than I will about the importance of what Chartwells is doing for us, how other districts might be struggling in the food services category, but we are not. We're actually thriving. So, Nick, can you just say a couple words about that, please? And Nick, you're on mute if you didn't know it.
Well, Alt-A does not work. Just to give you some preference on that.
Okay.
Yes, as you were saying, a lot of districts that I know are losing money in their food service. So the general fund has to do a transfer to offset the negative balances. And when you do eventually get to a negative balance, you're going to have to make a transfer from the general fund each year. Thanks to Chartwells, we are not in that situation. I've got the report pulled up. COVID-19 has really, hurt a lot of schools. We lost 54 serving days. We average, I think it was 2,000 meals a day. So we lost about 150,000 meals. So you can see the biggest chunk of that is in student receipts that we lost. So we lost $154,000 in student receipts and are still only down $69,000 for the entire year with a cash balance of $478,000. A lot of schools are losing the student receipts and are running their cash balance down into negative. As I said, they're having to do transfers from the general fund. Here's kind of a count of the lunches. At this point last year, we had served 390,000 lunches. We're down 111,000. Chartwells and the team have delivered 55,000, so it puts us down about 70,000 lunch meals. Breakfast, we're down 23,000, but we did deliver some free breakfasts, 55,000. So breakfast is actually up, as you guys were stating. I don't think the students are up very often for the breakfast counts to be too high. But overall, the food service is really performing well. We are down 143,000 year over year. But a lot of that's just kind of due to the student lunches just disappearing. So even in a worst case scenario for the food service department, it's still thriving. We still have a nice cash balance. Mr. Watson does a nice job managing this with Tammy, our Chartwells administrator. So we could be in a lot worse shape than we are, even in this situation of losing 54 serving days, which is a lot. So overall, really nice. Mr. Watson, do you have anything that you want to add?
Yeah. Our average meals per day was like 2,800, between 2,800 and 2,900 per day all of last year, and that's where we were on March 13th this year. Even with those breakfasts and lunches included in, it's like it's less than 2,500. So we're down over 300 meals per day that we're losing, even with those free meals being distributed. The breakfast is up because every bag that they hand out includes a breakfast and a lunch. So, but when the kids are in school, they don't, necessarily all go get the breakfast. That's why the breakfast is up a little bit. And then I just want to speak to that 147 some $1,000 number. The thing with that though is that usually the last month of the year in June, we'll see a big loss because that's when we pay the final invoice to Chartwells for all the supplies that they used and all the labor that they provided during the month of May. And we have no student receipts to help offset that. So we'll see a negative in June, typically. This year, we've already seen that. That happened for us in like March and April because of the shutdown early. So this June, we're actually going to pick up probably about 10 grand. So overall, year over year, we're not going to be down $140,000 when we get to June 30th. You know, I think it's going to be more like $60,000. Well, $60,000 to $70,000, I think.
Outstanding. Thank you.
Yep. Thank you both. I just wanted to call attention to that because I heard some good things in a meeting about how well we're doing compared to some other districts, and just wanted to call that out during the district reports. So, Nick, if you could shut that down, that'd be great. And does anybody else, board members, any other comments on any of the district reports?
Other than athletics, do we have any idea what the high school or the governor is going to do about the fall seasons?
Not at this time. So once again, still waiting for official word.
I've had more people ask me about that than anything else.
Yeah.
Needless to
Oh
say.
yeah.
All righty. If there are not any more comments, we will move to the excitement portion with Mrs. Hunt. I need a motion to accept the consent agenda as presented.
So moved.
Second.
Mr. Yanati first and Mr. Butler second. Mrs. Hunt? take it
Thank you.
away.
I'm glad that we're now to the exciting part of the agenda. We'll just start off here and I'll follow through with it. Number one, minutes. Those are from the May 18th, 2020 board meeting. Moving on to number two, you'll notice here we have 4 donations. The Columbus Foundation donated $500 to the Gene Scholarship. And I just want to take a moment and really recognize the Wood Foundation. They donated 3 different scholarships, the Peggy Wood Scholarship, the Betty Jo Weiser Scholarship, and the Art Scholarship, in an amount of $20,000 for this year's seniors. So we just want to take a moment and give them a huge thank you for their generous donations.
Mrs. Hunt, is there any way to enlarge that screen view by chance? There we go. Thank you very much.
You're welcome. Let's see if I can still make it all fit though. Is that better or is it too small? I think I can.
You're good. Thank you.
Okay. Next, we're asking for the work-based learning program coordinator to be added to the classified salary schedule. This is not a new position. It's a position we've had for the last 2.5 years. It has been funded through grant money in the past, and Kristen Ankrum currently serves in that position. We would like to go ahead and move that to a classified salary schedule so that the position, we know where we're going to put it on the salary schedule. And as that moves down, it just makes everything easier. We've been treating it as a contracted position over the last 2.5 years. Moving on to, those actually got mixed up, but that's okay. Moving on to number 4 here. We do have a maternity leave request for Nicole Duffy, a letter of resignation, and we are hiring on Carly Messina as an intervention specialist at Winchester Trail. And you'll also notice we have the stipends for the faculty managers for the fall. And number 5, we are asking you to resend the contract for Kristen Ankrum. We approved that last month, and that would be the contracted contract that we did before putting it on the classified salary schedule. And you'll notice down at the bottom here, we are asking you to then approve Kristen Ankrum back into that position. Number 6 is quite a bit. We have several supplemental positions. This is mainly fall athletics. And we do have one spring supplemental that will be Drew Dosh, who will be our new varsity baseball coach. Oops, I'm sorry, there we go. Number 7 here is the school resource officer. This is a routine agenda item. We do this every year at this time, so we're just asking you to approve that contract. And then number 8, I'm going to go ahead and pass on to Mr. Sotler for the graduating seniors.
This is just the official list from the board to say that all the seniors have met the requirements from our school district and from the state of Ohio, and they are official 2020 graduates.
Kai, before you move on, the resource officer, will he get along with the training with the rest of the staff for the racial equity programs?
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Next, Nick, do you want to go on, cover these last 3?
Sure. Private tuition, we approved the big chunk last month. This is just an additional list of private tuition for the learning spectrum and Haugland Learning Center. In your administrator notes, listed the costs associated with that, with the students, but we don't want to make that public. So ask that you approve the additional private tuition and related service contracts. And then we're amending the final appropriations for fiscal year 20. This is just essentially our budget that we file with the county auditor. There's certain requirements that we have to meet to where expenditures and open POs cannot exceed appropriations. So I was cleaning that up to make sure we were in compliance with Ohio Revised Code. And then we have temporary appropriations budget for fiscal 21 to make any expenditures on July 1st and after legal. We will do permanent appropriations in September for the full fiscal year 21, but the temporary will get us through the beginning 3 months. Any questions?
Thank you, Nick.
You're welcome.
One more thing that I want to add, I skipped over it and did not mean to when we were going through certified. I also wanted to mention that we do have a letter of resignation from Laurie Bucari as our high school assistant principal. And she'll be stepping away, and we just, want to thank her for her many years in the district. And she has served as assistant principal at the high school now for, I believe this was her 4th year. So we wish her the best of luck.
Thank you, Mrs. Hunt. Board, do you have any questions or follow-ups on the consent agenda?
No, I don't.
All righty. Just give everybody a second to go off mute just in case. Okay, so we already have the first and second for the consent agenda. Mr. Roberts, you please call roll.
Mr. Unati,
Yes.
Mr. Butler,
Yes.
Mr. Kruger,
Yes.
Mr. Metzler,
Yes.
Mrs. Talley.
Yes.
Thank you. That motion passes 5-0. And we are on to action items. Okay, I lost my screen here. There's just one action item. Okay, so I need an approval or a motion for the board policy final approval. I'll go ahead and motion it. I need a second.
Second.
Mrs. Talley. And Kai, you're back up.
Yeah, again, we had the first reading it last month. The policies the changes were very minimal. And so unless there's any questions.
I was thinking of one, but we'll let it go. Mr. Roberts, please call roll.
Mr. Kruger,
Yes.
Mrs. Talley,
Yes.
Mr. Butler,
Yes.
Mr. Metzler,
Yes.
Mr. Unati.
Yes.
And that board policy passes 5-0. I do not believe we have any reason to go into executive session this evening, Mr. Sattler.
That is correct. No executive session.
Okay. Let me get caught back up here. And okay, announcements. We do have a few announcements. Mr. Roberts, you're going to be back up for an announcement.
A few months ago, the Canal Winchester Joint Recreational District asked for a meeting with the school district officials, city officials, to really bring everybody together because the CWJRD was created under Ohio Revised Code by the city and other local governments along with the school district. What they were looking for was support of any type of thing, whether it was financial, whether it was in-kind services, whether it was waiving certain fees, whether it was giving better access to fields, those type of things. Because without our assistance, the rec board is really not able to keep going for a long-term gain. So without our assistance, without the city's assistance, it could be abolished and no rec sports would be in Canal Winchester. And I don't think anybody wants to see that because we know the importance of the rec department and the rec leagues. So what we came up with, and I met with CWJRD, Mr. Kruger is well aware, is for the district to become the fiscal agent for CWJRD. So we would handle all the financials for them. Right now, they spend about $32,000 with a CPA. They get audited. It's about $2,500. So the district would be offering essentially $35,000 of in-kind help to the school district. We've ran it through all the legal process, waiting on a final ruling from the Ethics Commission to make sure everything is okay. We got an informal ruling from the Ethics Commission saying it was good to do. But just wanted to let the rest of the board know that that's what we were considering. Kevin and I met with some representatives today. We don't have an issue with getting this done. I think it would be a smooth process once we get it established and set up. And I think there would probably be some better controls in place for them. Their only person on payroll was very excited to hear about some of the things that we have, electronic versions and things like that. But the one hurdle, and I think the biggest thing the board has to decide on if they want to do this or not, is they do have one person on payroll that would have to become a part of Canal Winchester employees. So that's the only thing I think the board really needs to probably consider outside anything else. Otherwise, it'd be Mr. Watson, myself, and some staff handling a few more purchase orders, a few more deposits and receipts, but otherwise it's not going to be too bad, and it's going to be a great benefit for them. And it gives them a nice little sounding board to go back to the city to say, hey, look what the district's doing for us. So it gives them a little bit. $35,000 is a lot, especially when their revenue budget's $275,000. Not have to put the $35,000 out there is a pretty big deal to the recreational district.
Yeah,
Nick, I was going to ask you, as far as like, if we do bring that person on staff, because of the way they're funded, we really won't be taking on any financial burden as far as putting another person on staff, on salary, without obviously that revenue stream coming in from what the CWJRD already is bringing in as far as revenue goes, I would imagine, right?
Correct. They will have their own fund. They'll pay for that employee from their fund balance as they do now. So no additional obligation to the school district. I know that she's been kind and taken a nice reduction during the COVID-19. Hopefully they can get the revenues back, sports can come back, and they can get back to normal. But as of now, no, we wouldn't bring her on unless they had the funds to pay it themselves. As you know, we're currently the fiscal agent for Harvest Prep and have employees there, and they take on the full responsibility with their auxiliary funds.
Yeah, thank you.
You're welcome.
Yeah, Nick, as John and I serve on that CWJRD board, we greatly appreciate you and the team considering this. It's already been a partnership, but this is actually more a much tighter partnership, and it's it could be very financially beneficial because obviously we're 100% funded by registration fees. And obviously, as you mentioned, through COVID-19, we had no sports. So there was no income for 3 months and had to cancel, the basketballs and all the spring athletics. And we're trying to get back on the feet to get the kiddos out there for football and cheerleading and some baseball, softball, and tennis and such. So we're trying to get back in the swing of things. This is a huge, and I think Will Bennett, who serves on city council, he was very genuine in that appreciation this afternoon, Nick and Kevin, when they were speaking together, that this is truly a very large step in what the CWJR has been trying to accomplish. So great appreciation to everybody involved. So thank you.
Yeah, ditto as well, Nick and Kevin. It's not only a benefit to the rec board, but it's going to be a trickle down benefit to the whole community. So everybody that uses the rec program. So we appreciate that. Thank you.
Absolutely.
Okay, and again, we're not voting on anything with that. That's just this is to come. We've got to put some documents together for the board review and just make sure everything is in line before we take any action at all. So just want to let you know that. Anyone have any announcements? Before we adjourn, just want to let folks know for next board meeting, I believe it's going to be July 20th.
Correct, July 20th.
So July 20th, we're going to have is scheduled for the next board meeting. Our intention is to have the 5 board members, Mr. Sattler, Mrs. Hunt, and Mr. Roberts, all in the board room. And we believe we're going to be shooting it live, if you will, and for folks to come on through YouTube to watch. And so that's kind of our phasing back into normal life. So next board meeting is going to look a little different. You'll have the 8 of us on, not a Zoom, but we'll be 8 of us on a camera, and the rest of the administration, administrators, and public should be viewing from a YouTube or something like that. JP will give us more information. So with that, I need a motion to adjourn the June 15th meeting this evening at 8:25.
So moved.
I'll second.
I've got John as a first and Mr. Yanati as a second. Mr. Roberts?
Mr. Matchler,
Yes.
Mr. Unati,
Yes.
Mr. Butler,
Yes.
Mr. Kruger,
Yes.
Mrs. Talley.
Yes.
Meeting is adjourned 8:25. Thank you everyone for your participation, and we will see you next month.
Have a good
Thank
evening, all.
you.
Thank you.
Everyone be safe.
Everyone.
Thank you.